Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, team. Panos, hi. Morning. And
Can you hear me?
Nirav. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear
Good
me?
morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Morning, Changochi.
Hi, good morning, Sammy and Panos and Nami and Jim.
Good morning.
Hello. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay. Sorry, I had a technical glitch with my mic. It was going off and on all the time. So I was saying as an open that I was talking with Jim on the technicalities of the documents. One folder we used to have and people that have access there. So perhaps we can. So we have the CSM core folder that I started with, has all the previous work. Don't know. Sammy, can you edit the access to the CSM core folder?
Let me check. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now going through the agenda. Oh, we don't even have an entry here. Last week we were talking about the lifecycle management white paper and getting Nirav hopefully to present to that today.
Sure. Yeah, I can present.
Okay, or present, like we would going to follow up, continue the discussion on that document. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me do that. But before I get there, Panos, I think you wanted me for the fleet related conversation. You wanted me to take like the topics out of the paper and drop it into some other location. Is that location?
Well, yes, that's just like the piece of work we would be doing. We can do that offline.
Okay, just ping me whenever
copy, yes, like
Yeah.
copy some of the structure, some of the suggestions of the fleet management, lifecycle management document into the fleet management, like the product idea. I don't know if John would join today. Perhaps I can pull him in because there was a very interesting conversation yesterday in the Redfish meeting, and perhaps we could kind of discuss it here.
Makes sense.
But yeah.
I am trying to present. I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen already. So
Okay.
before this, do we have any opens, any other topics we need to put down today for our agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay, I think we can go on with lifecycle management.
So,
Sure.
so quick one. Can I able to access it, Panos?
I have read-write access to that, the shared drive. So I already have access.
Yeah, the people that have been here last year have read-write access, and hence I'm creating all the new documents in there. But I'm asking if we can like edit the access to put the new members of the team.
I have access to add people, and I'm sure.
So one thing I would suggest, I created a new folder called HM -CSM. It's a hardware fault management under CSM, right? Anyway, anything that we
And
want to put,
we can move.
cleaner.
Yes, we can move the other documents in there then. Okay.
Whatever is
Fair enough.
required, right? Because we have a lot of other things which is probably not active. It's going to create a lot more confusions here.
Makes sense.
It's since we are doing a fresh start, we can put it here. The only problem what I have seen is we need to really check with the FTI to see whether it's still they're okay with using this, right? Because when you send it out, it's sending mails to all the FTI teams. I have not seen I mean project level Google folder like what we had for FTI.
Then we could ask Kevin
Right.
if we have OCP level folders, something we can use.
So, as an alternative, could you just put a folder or two in the existing subfolder in the existing CSM folder to segregate?
Yes,
what
that's
is
what
old and
we're
what's new?
doing. Yes.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. Yes.
That's a link I just pasted here. It's a link, the folder within that particular work group, so that anything hardware fault management CSM project related, we can put it there. The only question is whether we need to check with Kevin and see, like, is this the right place we want to use, or is there any project work stream folder they have it, they can use it, right? That way it becomes all hardware management project and work stream related, rather than using the FTA page.
Okay, Sammy, and I just clicked on the link you provided. It said access denied, so I've sent
Yeah, you don't have access, Jim.
Right. Will you or somebody grant me access?
Just paste your email address we want to use, and I will. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in the meantime, let's give everybody. I don't know if Jerry has access to, so let's give everybody here access, and while you guys figure it out, and we can kind of move to wherever. But I think the paper we are about to discuss is in this location, so I want to make sure everybody has access to the paper. Is that okay, Sammy?
Yeah, just looking for the email.
Yes, we can paste the link of the doc if anybody doesn't have it, and we can like grant access just on the doc basis.
Yeah, Jim, I'm doing that right now for you.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Yeah, I already sent out the request. Should I add my email to the chat room?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay, I gave Jim access. You should get an email pretty soon. I don't know how it works for the company emails, but it should work. I think it allowed me to send it, so it should work.
Did you post it to that folder, Nirav?
I just went into CSM core.
No. Under CSM, not under CSM core. I also created a folder called HM -CSM.
Yeah.
Did you post your file under the HM?
No, I did not post the file there.
Yeah, post there, then I'll give a folder access to the team.
Oh, I see. Oops.
Then,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they can access it.
Okay, let me do that then. Copy file. How do I do this? Move. Is there a move? There is not a move, so I can just download it and then makes sense. Okay, I will do that. Okay. New file upload. Yeah, I just did. Let me rename it because I think this weird thing. Okay, so yeah, I just copied it to the new folder. And let me stop sharing for a second, and I will share that instead of the one that I'm sharing right now. That way I'm not editing. All right. Can you still see what I'm sharing?
Yeah, Jerry and Jim used to have access now, right?
Yes, I can actually open up that white paper in Google Docs. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. So, all right. So I'll just get started with it. I'll just start where we left off last time, and then kind of try to complete this paper. At the end, and I'm sure, I don't know if you'll have time, but I'm hoping at the end, and I'm collecting all the comments in this side. I don't think I can alone fix all the comments and get this done. So I would definitely need some help. So what I was thinking is at the end, maybe we kind of divide and conquer. I will, if these are the sections that we have, if people can start putting their names against it and helping me kind of fix those sections, that I will really appreciate that. But yeah, just but let me just walk through the layout, and then we can come back and kind of see who can help. So we were talking about servicing here, and I think one of the feedback I got from Sammy was, hey, we will not be able to address everything, so we need to go up on the top of the introduction of the paper and specifically call out things like TCO optimization and other optimizations that would be out of scope for this paper. So that's the last thing we talked about. And we were at the servicing section. So the idea with servicing is, given the sheer size of hyperscale environments, we want to have some way of identifying the software, firmware versions, and hardware versions that are there, if they are the latest and stuff like that. So I have a data model to represent that. And today, as far as I can tell, and I don't know if you agreed on that, there isn't a OCP project focused on servicing and inventory management. That's my understanding, and that's a gap that is there today. I don't know if everybody agrees, or is there something that somebody wants to point out that I missed?
Just to make a note of some other initiatives that are happening within Redfish communities.
Okay.
And we need to align with them. That's why I asked if John would be here today.
Okay.
To give us like a page there, because I feel that some of the work of Redfish, the DMTF, and OCP are tangential.
I think, and this is the question I also got during my presentation. Like, me and Scott got this question in our presentation as well. I think the way again, this is what I think, and you tell me if this makes sense. I think the fact that a data model doesn't exist for servicing and inventory management is something that we need to point out. We need to define what that should include from a requirements perspective and document that, and then hand it over to DMTF and Redfish to say, here, I mean, this variable will be this value, and it'll be a string or a, and they
even if not down to the variable level and how to implement that. I see that a bit like as implementation, let's call it that way.
Correct.
Our requirements are the functional requirements.
Right.
As customers ourselves and the other members of the industry as vendors would set the tone of what we expect to do with that hardware and how this thing needs to, not how, what kind of information we need.
what.
Right.
Yes. Answer the question what we need and define that. And then, yes, I mean, it's not like
DMTF, DMTF will put the how.
Correct. They will define exactly how that should be represented and how that should be standardized. And that's totally their domain. And we should help. I'm not saying we should raise our hands and say we are done. I think there is collaboration needed, but I think from an R&R roles and responsibility perspective, our primary role will be to define the requirements and the what, and then DMTF's primary requirements, their primary role and our roles and responsibility will be to define the how part of it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, go ahead.
So my understanding is that what DMTF would do, given requirements, whatever layer of abstraction we choose to do them here, they would define additional data elements as if needed within the server systems, and then they would also provide or design flows, which would be procedures of accessing data to do what you want to do. But I think there's a big disconnect, or there's an opportunity here for innovation, in the sense that when I look at Redfish, what I see is a lot of work has gone into addressing an individual server and querying it, turning the power on and off, and doing all the things you would do to manage a server. But what I don't see are the abstractions for the grouping together of multiple servers. Like, for instance, the clusters that we're going to use for AI or machine learning. Maybe in terms of fleet management, we want to be able to group n number of servers into some kind of a cohort, or so those are the kind of extensions I think we need beyond Redfish. And whether that's done at Redfish, or if Redfish says, hey, we're just going to the server, somebody else take the next level up of abstraction.
Can you please put that down in the fleet management document, or ask us to put it there? So this is a very solid proposition of what should be in that document. What do we define as our extra requirements, right? In the inventory management, let me bring another example, I think, from the field that I think should indicate that the difference between us and Redfish is we have a component, let's say it's an OCP assembly of a network card, and when servicing it, we need to scan some label that is on the assembly, right? Making sure that this label corresponds to what can be read from the hardware and what is represented in the Redfish tree. Sometimes it's not trivial. Sometimes we have assemblies of some vendor part, which is included in some manufacturer part included in some vendor part, and then like making up an assembly has like different components. Being able to connect the logical side, the software side with the physical side. Sometimes this needs some layer of management, some layer of like sophistication.
Right.
And I think this is the kind of functional requirements that we should interface with DMTF so that this is properly addressed.
No, I completely agree, and I agree with Jim also. I mean, if there is a gap and there is an opportunity where some of the forums, the DMTF forums that already exist, are saying, hey, this is beyond our scope, then yes, then that is where we would kind of try to figure out what next and figure out what to do with those areas, like aggregation. I know, like, talking to Jeff Hilland and talking to John even, I think aggregating multiple systems is something that is not exactly within the Redfish forum. I completely agree, and it could potentially be a gap. But yeah, I think let's have that conversation with those guys and see if that's where they're at, and if that's what it is, then that's what it is, and we can figure out the next steps then. Yeah, I completely agree. So coming back to this, so these are two areas that I definitely think something needs to be done. Today, there is nothing being done. And again, the other areas that I called out are the decommissioning. There is work being done in the sustainability work group for sustainable management of hardware. There is work being done in circular and sustainable reuse of resources to an extent there, but that is focused mostly on how to dispose of hardware in a very ecological way. I think there are steps beyond decommissioning has a bunch of steps than just throwing the hardware, how to throw the hardware away. There is things of there's requirements for backup, there's data recovery, there is secure wipe so that the data is not kind of accidentally ended up in the wrong hands. There is also the part about, and it also feeds, like we were discussing last time, all of these are related to each other. And if I were to draw like a linkage diagram, you can't back up and remove something until you have the inventory to replace it, unless you're completely like shutting down the entire data center. So
does it make sense to kind of call out what is exist and what is missing?
Right.
Even
so
I'm just going back even to the inventory level thing, right?
Mhm.
We know there is a lot of things exist, and what is missing, like even the telemetry data sharing model was trying to combine multiple systems into one to kind of look at the data across those systems, right? It'll be good if we call out so that people know this. Hey, I can see anything related to each item we are talking here, right? What is exists, what is missing?
So that's already there. But what I'm saying is, from these items perspective, there isn't anything out there right now, and that's a gap. And I think aggregation as a project is an overall gap that I call out in the introduction itself. I kind of I jumped over it, so I didn't cover that. But yeah, so that is something that our work group has already done a lot of work, like with the telemetry work that Panos did. So that is something I already referred to there, and I call it out. And yes, so that's called out in the introduction. But from these, I think for these specific things that we are talking about today, there isn't any existing work being done, so that I could not identify it. So that's why I was asking if anybody else is aware, so we can add it. For other things like utilization, I call out the PUE stuff that we talked about last time. For sourcing and configuration, I call out the existing projects that are doing the work right now. Certification is conformance, and certification is another area where there is some work being done for validation. But other than that, like if you want a certificate saying, hey, my system is eco-friendly or something like that, there isn't a lot of work to even represent the data that, hey, this system was certified with this. So that doesn't exist today as well. So wherever I have tried my best, Sammy, to kind of put down wherever I found whatever I found. But yeah, so somebody needs to just read over and make sure I didn't miss anything, is all I'm saying. Yeah. So those are these sections. Now what we did is, until now what we've done is we've kind of gone through the phased approach, and we have broken down the phases into specific areas of focus, and we have said these are the things that we need to go and resolve. Now the second section is about data flow and about, like we said, aggregation, right? So what we want to do is we want to be able to take that. The idea here is, with this section, is to identify specific example data models so that we can go and say, hey, if you want inventory to be represented, these are the things that will be needed, right? Like for example, if you go down here for inventory, I have a unique ID is needed. There is a software firmware version and a hardware version kind of needed, definition needed. And that could be defined as a part of a system. So every system should have components, and each component should have this definition built into it. And as long as that is definite, you can take this and aggregate it and say, hey, I have devices. For example, storage, right? I have storage devices of this type, and these are the firmwares, and these are the firmware versions that it's using, and these are the hardware versions it's using, and there's a database of all of them with unique IDs, right? So I can in fact figure out if I want to update even one of the softwares in one of those devices, I should be able to uniquely identify that using the unique ID, figure out the software version for that, and then update that seamlessly. So that's and this can also be aggregated. So this is where I think what we are talking about is taking this individual component level or system level data and kind of how that is done, how it's aggregated may be proprietary, and that's why there might be some vendor specific AI and ML logic that is being used. But when it comes to representing it at a data center level or so you could represent it at multiple levels, and this is where I think Panos's work in the telemetry did some initial guidance there. We defined stages, like there could be component level representation, there will be system level representation, there could be rack level representation, and then there could be a hyperscale
or cluster level. Yes, or cluster level.
Okay.
We want
Correct.
to introduce like a virtual set of machines or components or whatnot. Right?
Yeah, that I remember now. I haven't identified. So identify the layers of representation. I have not done that. So if somebody wants to help me with that, that's great. You can go ahead and add that here. If not, let me know. I can work on that. So like the 4 or 5 layers that we talked about just now, Panos, you said device. Oh, sorry, component, system.
Sorry, no. I'm thinking in terms of Redfish, and let's kind of try to stick to what they use, so that we don't reinvent things.
Okay.
So at the moment, Redfish has a chassis and a system view. The system is the logical, the chassis is the physical, and that's what it is, right? The chassis and physical view of Redfish are supposed to have covered everything.
No, I think there is also the component view, right?
Go ahead.
They call it resources.
No. So the resources are for composable systems that you can reallocate resources, or yes, build something using these resources. Question is how to disaggregate or aggregate, say, specific components that are already used in the system and form a different layer and call components individually. This was my telemetry proposal.
Correct.
So you want to have a flat list of all your disks, all your memory DIMMs, or all your CPUs, and just do some statistics on that, like represent them as such in a different tree. What I don't know is if the composition feature of Redfish is the correct way to do, let's say, clustering, or let's say you may have a storage array that's composes storage from different servers, different chassis. Mm-hmm. How do we represent that in Redfish?
So there is something called
we have with GPUs.
For storage, there is something called Swordfish.
Yes.
As far as I know. So that has storage pool definitions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
I'm
have
talking about like
storage
pools, GPU pools, accelerator pools. Like now we will have memory pools with CXL. Find all these concepts and see if we have coverage.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. When it comes to pooling these components into like pools and bringing them together across systems, that may exist at a individual function level, like storage has Swordfish, but GPU may not have something. I think networking or NICs also have something. There is a project dedicated for that, but not all of the components may have everything. You're right.
So let me add a couple of comments here. So under the root, what they call the Redfish root of addressable things, that you think of them like URLs. They are URLs. So you can have multiple systems, and Panos described that as a logical view. To me, the easiest way to think about an individual system is it's like a motherboard with a CPU and memory. And if you look at the kind of things that are under a system. There could be multiple systems, but under each system, you'll find things like about the CPU or the memory and things like that. And then they have a single object called a chassis that Panos mentioned. And in that chassis, you would find things like a cooling system, or you could find cards, PCIe cards that were plugged in. So, for instance, I mean, I work in the NIC area for Broadcom, and so I would go down the chassis to look at the different NIC cards that were represented, and find my NIC card, and then play with the variables. But the thing to remember is that root node is what can be reached across the network. So it's going to be typically it's a single IP destination. So
Correct.
by itself, what Redfish has produced by definition can't aggregate multiple systems like a cluster, because they'd all be different IP addresses.
No. Let me correct you there. You're talking about the IP of a single system, a single Redfish node. There is this component, this aggregation, which is already specified and implemented, that you can have another Redfish agent proxying the individual trees into a single system.
That's called aggregation.
Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that exists. It does exist.
So that exists, and we assume that we can reach a reasonable scale. And what I described in the paper year before was, okay, at a larger scale, we will need to do some more sophistication so that we can put in that tree like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of nodes, like, proxy them in one tree, and the way we proxy them becomes non-trivial. But we assume that with the semantics of Redfish, we can represent even a hyperscale size set or fleet of servers in a single Redfish tree, and we consider the problem of addressing that under one IP. We consider that solved.
Okay.
For the time being, right?
Right. I do agree that the mechanistics, the how part is solved, and again, like we were discussing before as well, is the how part is not our problem. It is a problem to the extent that it should be feasible. We can't define a requirement that is not feasible. So from that perspective, this seems feasible from a Redfish perspective, because I think Swordfish is an example of storage pooling that already exists. So from a feasibility perspective, if one example exists, then other examples can also exist, is what I'm going with. And I'm just making that assumption for now. But the fact is that when you create a storage pool, what should be represented there? Or when you create a network pool, what should be represented? What can be aggregated? In fixed storage, I mean, the answer is, the total storage amount you can aggregate. But then if you're doing RAID, or if you're doing stuff like that, then maybe the amount of storage you have is not a trivial answer, and that should be represented somewhere. And the kind of devices you have, the firmwares you have, and all that should be represented somewhere. So that is I guess what to aggregate is the question we should answer.
Take it one step up. I think the question is, what usage scenarios do we have practically in the industry that we need to check against Redfish implementations? We described storage pooling. We will have, like we have already, accelerator pooling, and we may have disaggregated accelerator in the sense of virtual GPUs under the physical, elastically moving around and all that. Do we want that to be represented? Is there a mechanism of doing that? Is the current mechanism enough, complete for our needs? I think that kind of gap, I think we could be called to serve.
Absolutely. I think I agree with that. So this is what I'm trying to represent here is when it comes to clustering, when it comes to and not just individual functional clustering like storage, GPUs, networks, but yet system level clustering is also something that is done today. So even there, the data modeling requirements don't exist. Even where the solutions exist, the solutions have come up from bottoms up, like ground up. They have not started from a use case scenario like Panos was mentioning and kind of drilled down and said, hey, this is the use case. Like saying that NAS is my use case and then going, okay, to do NAS, what do I need? Okay, so I need this. Now let's feed that requirement into Swordfish and try to answer the question, can Swordfish do this or not? I think that's the flow we want. And I don't know if that flow exists today. I think most of the work is ground up in the sense that, hey, this is cool, let's do it. Let's find out how it can be used. So I think this is, and it's our fault. I'm saying as an OCP member, this is our fault, not DMTF's fault. We need to do this, and we haven't done this yet. So that but it's, at the same time, it's an opportunity, right? So let's take that opportunity and drive that. So that's what I mean here is whether when it comes to functional level pooling or whether go ahead. Was there a question?
No.
Okay. So how we aggregate, like when it comes to a pool, it could be drawing storage capacities from various systems. When it is aggregated, depending on the kind of RAID configurations that I use, the total amount of storage that is available in that pool may be vendor specific. And there might be some AI or machine learning algorithms used to figure that out, depending on the kind of reliability needed and those kind of things. But the representation, okay, a total amount of storage you have on this cluster is this. And this is the reliability, and this is your RAS capabilities. These are the error capabilities. That representation will be the same, regardless of what vendor is being used and what data center is being designed. So
you triggered two ideas here that would be like little bombs I drop here. So suppose you have this storage pool and it works and we have a model for it. How would you calculate the total power that is allocated to that storage pool? How much power does this thing cost? Or else, if faults occur, how can you tell which faults would affect this pool? And that includes the servers that serve this pool, because you may have like aggregated the block devices into a pool and calculate their total block size, like storage size. But how about telling which CPUs would be involved and what errors do they have? Or even what is the risk scenario that some of these CPUs, networking involved, chassis involved, power units, the PDUs, anything, will exhibit a fault and bring that storage array to, a fault, right?
Right.
Like if we were to do advanced exercises like this on top of our, because a storage pool serves the purpose of storage, but doing the advanced exercise of like power management, fault management, lifecycle management of that pool,
correct,
will need to traverse the tree and bring some other kinds of information that I'm not sure, if anybody has ever done that exercise.
I'm pretty sure that's not been done yet. I think.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
Yeah, I think to probably to put as a requirement, right? We should really like state like these are the things we expect to be done either servicing level or a management level or however it is, right?
Right.
What is that really needs some additional interfaces to be defined? Maybe a boundary, right? If I have an application that is running, can I get all the fault boundaries, right? Or hardware sharing boundaries, right? If you have a generic mechanism, whether it's used today or not, right? At least you say like this is a one model to represent it, right?
Correct. So what I did is I took a initial stab at this and again, I did not focus on the clusters yet, and this is something that is a a lot of work there. So what I did is I took an initial stab, and I think me and Scott worked on this together, and we created an initial model for the first two layers, which is the component layer and the system layer, right? But when it comes to and we can review those in together, or we can just look at it offline and come back, and like Sam is doing, please go ahead and add comments there. We can do that, but yeah, we need to also think about how to represent this at the cluster level, and actually go even one step further and represent it at the data center level, the whole data center. I think as a data center manager, I need to know what my storage capacity is and how much of that is being used, right? So, and that's just one, and all these examples that we're giving is just one aspect of the data center. It's just the storage aspect. We have the networking aspect, we have the GPU, we have the compute aspect, we have the graphics aspect, and the net and other things that we need to consider as well.
So I think the thing is, a lot of questions that you're asking, the answer is there. I think the question is now OCP perspective, how are you going to bring it there, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think that that's why you need to be kind of clear on what is the minimum required that we want to really like say like these are the things will be there.
The must-haves and the
must-haves, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So
no, I agree.
What is missing out of that definition to make it happen, right?
Right. What I'm planning, what I'm thinking is, I don't want to restrict our thinking juices. So I will just put it as make it a laundry list right now. Then we can all come together and say, no, this is not a must-have. This is a must-have, and we can kind of jointly agree that what we can shorten that list further. But for now, all I'm looking to do is put a laundry list in there. Put anything and everything that you can think of inside, define that and put it in there, and then we can say, like Sammy, you were saying, I don't think this is a must-have. For example, for storage pools, maybe the network requirements may not be the must-haves, because I mean they are remote storage pools, so
they are.
So network might be.
I can tell you they are.
Without network, you cannot access them.
Correct.
No. No, not even the net, like being able to calculate the capacity, the network capacity, the speed of your storage array is critical.
Okay, I can't. Yeah, okay. Then I don't have a good example of something that might not be a must-have. But
I have, but
okay. But yes, but I don't want to restrict our discussion at all. So if you can think of something, put it in there, and then we can jointly kind of cull the list.
Yeah, at the end, right? Think of Nirav or the team, right? Can we create Excel list or something? Say here is item, what is needed,
right,
from which team, right?
Okay.
Out of which OCP project, right? At the end of the day, if we can map it to any existing OCP project, or maybe something new need to be created, or that we should able to map it.
Right. Okay.
So then people can say like, yes, I read the paper. It talks about a lot of things, but what is the final actionable item?
Makes sense. Yeah. So
I think that's one of the reason I was trying to put that picture there. Still, it is trying to connect that what is this CSM and what is it like every guys are producing it, but it's not complete production list of input and outputs. Really need to map what is it available and what is missing in the community perspective, right?
Okay. So if it helps to put it in an Excel sheet, I can do that as well.
No. What I'm saying is first let's complete it, but at the end of the day, it is like what is the actionable item, right? What is that missing item? What is it need to be done by which group?
Got it. I will. Let me do that. Let me also put this in an Excel sheet and kind of and then I can, with Excel sheet, you can sort it and you can say, okay, this thing exists, so you don't want to look at it, so you can sort it based on what exists, what doesn't exist. I can definitely, give me a couple of days and I'll put that in the same folder, and we'll get that going as well. So
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Take however you organize it, but what I'm saying is, at the end, we really need to able to consume as a conclusion, right? We need to say these are the things we reviewed and did a case study, and these are the holes we found out, and this is a recommendation, right?
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. We'll do that. So let me put that as a comment here in the conclusion. So at the end of the day, the conclusion needs to be this is what we reviewed, this is what we found, and these are the gaps.
And what is the action?
And
right?
what
Which
action?
groups?
What are
in
the next
OCP?
steps?
Yeah.
What's the next
Which
step?
groups in which OCP need to do what?
For individual groups in OCP. Okay, got it.
Maybe you can even take an AI. The CSM need to do more, but that need to come out of it, right?
Yeah, no. See, I mean, individual groups, including the CSM.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So that's how we want to conclude this. Perfect. That's all I have right now. I think if I were to like put a number, I think this paper is like about 30% there. It's not 100% there at all. But like I'm saying, I've put everything that I know, put it in there, and I will create that Excel sheet also. But at this point, I need some help with everybody. So what I was thinking is, when it comes to like reviewing the introduction and everything, from an introduction perspective, I think I'm missing that diagram that you just added, Sammy. So can I ask your help to kind of look through the introduction and besides the comments that you've already given me, tell me if what is missing. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think introduction you want to start. What is the final recommendation you want to make, right? That's what we are going to conclude.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to do multiple passes of this.
Right. Yeah.
For
I
the
will
initial
take
pass.
a look at it. What I'm saying is, at the end, we really need to connect why is this paper and what is the expectation out the output of this paper, right?
Correct. And also there is a section that I have not added, is a definition of an hyperscale data center. So Panos, can I ask your help to kind of fill this up for me? And also, what is out of scope?
Yes,
So-
I think we already discussed, and we had a short note.
Correct. I think it's in the comments somewhere. So you can just pull it out from there and just add it in there. I'm just hoping you can do it because you have the bigger picture view. I don't. So.
It's, we already said like what we consider to be approaching the hyperscale, and that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
We'll assign this arbitrary number.
10,000 or something. Yeah.
Well, no, like 10,000 is the medium. Like going from the 100,000s into the millions, I would say, is the hyperscale, right? So
I think out of scope is few other items also, right? We are not talking about cost, or are we really
TCO,
like right? TCO. I don't know.
Specific use case specific optimizations.
Yeah, not a specific implementation or So we need to figure out like how do we say like what is not really like even though it's required for a data center operator, unless it's really like cost effective or it's not really efficient, they're not going to run it, right?
Correct. So we just need to write all those things down. So yes, if somebody can take that and help me with that, and we can just review it together. But that's we just need to write those things down. So that's one thing. And then Scott, I think you were already looking at this phased approach thing, and I know we don't like the fact that we have slotted it into like subsections from the phased approach. So can you take a look at kind of I know you're already doing this, but kind of readjusting the flow here so that it's not like these stages are not tied to the specific phases. I think that's something you were saying is something that we need to fix, right? So is that okay? Can you work on that?
Yeah, I can take a look at it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, man. And I will take a look at the data flows and kind of make the Excel sheet and split this into like a editable model. Right now, this is a picture, and I hate the picture. I think we had a better picture. I need to update that and kind of identify these again.
Nirav, if you would like some help, I would volunteer to help
Jim,
you with that.
Perfect. I was going to say, thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate
Fantastic.
that.
It'll be fun.
All right. I will reach out to you and we can work together on that. Changochoy, is there something you would like to help with specifically? Like maybe if there is something, let me know, Changochoy.
Okay, so I'll check and then I'll let you know if there's anything that I could contribute.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And anybody, I mean, Jerry and others, please let me know. If you guys want to help. I know Antonio, you wanted to help with the definition of an error fault, so I will work with you on that. And I know there was feedback from the fault management work group there as well, so I will take that feedback into it and incorporate that in there. Yeah, and anybody else, if you guys have any feedback, let me know offline. And if there is something you want to work with me on, let me know. That's pretty much all I had.
Okay, and since we are approaching the top of the hour, if there is anything else, or if we want to propose any subjects for next week's agenda. Shall we say that we will have a partial continuation of that? Like, I don't want that to be the entire agenda every week, but in the absence of anything else, should we continue this conversation?
Yes, I think.
Yes.
Do some more work on this, and we should conclude this. Unless somebody has a new topic that you has a proposal that you want to do.
Yeah, we need to start populating our laundry lists for the fleet product, like fleet management product. So we should just dump some work there, some ideas, or brainstorm.
The folder that Sammy created, I can put that laundry list. At least what I can think of, I'll put it in. I'll create a file and put it there.
Yeah, something I should do, or Sammy, if you can help me, is move the documents, the ones we work, like the agenda and the two documents, move them under the new folder. I try to do it myself. It seems the system won't allow me. It may be because of my corporate account here, but if you can do that, Sammy, I would appreciate it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And also at dealing IMA side, we need to kind of check back on where we are and what we want to do there, right?
Okay. If nothing else, then we could get 5 minutes back. Everybody happy?
Okay. Thank you, Tim. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
See you
Y'all have
next
a great
week,
day.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.